The Galactic Council Hall was the largest place in the galaxy. It floated in deep space, far from any planet. Made of crystal and metal, it shined like a star. Inside, hundreds of alien leaders sat on their chairs, cold, quiet, and watching, and for the first time, a human stood in the center. Ambassador Elena Ward, dressed in earth-blue robes, her face calm, her voice clear. "We come in peace," she said. "We know we are new to the stars, but we offer friendship, trade, unity." Some alien leaders nodded. Others looked away. One whispered, "Too bold, too fast." But Elena smiled. She didn't hear the whispers. She only saw the future, a better one. Behind her, a screen showed Earth, oceans blue, cities glowing, children laughing. It was a message. We are not a threat. When Elena finished, the room stayed silent. Then High Lord Verak of the Jareen stood. He looked like a moving shadow, tall, thin, with eyes like black holes. He spoke slowly. "Thank you, human. We will consider your words." Elena bowed. "We hope to work together." But as she left the hall, a hidden vote was already starting. In a private chamber, away from cameras, the top species gathered. 12 powerful leaders. "The humans are growing too fast," said the Sulvan Queen. "In 200 years, they went from fire to stars." "They breed chaos," hissed the Jarn Admiral. "They don't follow rules." "They are too human," said the Zyrene High Lord. The vote began. One by one, they pressed a finger or tentacle or claw onto a glowing pad. Destroy Earth. That was the vote. 11 said yes. 1 said no. But it didn't matter. The vote passed. A weapon was all ready. Waiting, built in secret. A dark moon, hollowed and filled with ancient death tech. It had no name, no lights, no crew. Only one job: erase a planet. It moved through space, silent and slow, hidden behind stars, heading for Earth. On Earth, no one knew. People were living, loving, building. A little girl in Kenya built her first robot. A farmer in Argentina grew fruit. On a Martian soil test patch, a musician played songs in zero gravity aboard the new moon station. Humanity was growing, learning, hoping. The stars seemed open, friendly. They didn't know betrayal was coming. In the dark, the weapon woke. Its systems blinked, its targeting locked. It saw Earth, bright, beautiful, full of noise. It didn't care. It charged up. The core glowed red. Heat bled into space. Then it fired. A beam of energy, faster than light. Pure destruction. Across the galaxy, the Council watched. They had no pity, no fear. They believed Earth would vanish, just one more forgotten world. But the beam never hit. At the last moment, something happened. A flash, a twist in space. Earth shimmered and vanished, gone. No explosion, no fire, no wreckage, just gone. The weapon's sensors screamed. Target lost. Back at the Council, panic rose. What happened? Where did they go? Who helped them? No one had an answer. But one thing appeared in the space where Earth had been, a black cube, floating, spinning. It opened and a message played, a human voice, calm, cold. "You fired the first shot. We saw it coming." A pause. "Now, you'll remember us forever." Then the cube exploded into stardust. Ambassador Elena was still on the Council ship. She stood alone in her room watching the news. "Earth! Gone!" said the alien broadcast. "Disappeared! Impossible!" She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She simply pressed a button on her wrist and whispered, "Begin Protocol Genesis." In a dark corner of the galaxy, something opened. A gate. Not built by humans. Older. Forgotten. But somehow they had found it. Ships began to come through. Not the usual ones. These were black, silent, covered in strange marks, built for war, built for one purpose. Revenge. On council worlds, whispers grew. Earth wasn't destroyed. They moved the whole planet? Did someone help them? The ancients, the old machines? No, this is human work. And then, one by one, small council outposts went dark. No explosions. No signs. Just silence. On Varnic 3, a scout saw something before his ship died. A shape in the sky, a human ship. But not like the old ones. Sleek, sharp, alive, and written across its side in bold letters, Remember Earth. High Lord Varric called an emergency meeting. This is not possible, he said. Humans were weak, disorganized. The Yarn Admiral stared at the screen. They are not weak anymore. We tried to kill them, said the Solvan Queen, and we failed. Silence. Then Varric whispered, No, we didn't fail. He looked at the stars. They let us try. Now, they will show us what we awakened. Across the galaxy, humans were remembered as newcomers, as fools, as loud and wild. But now, they were something else. Silent, cold, planning. Their planet was gone. Their rage had just begun. And every species would remember the day they made a mistake, the day they tried to erase Earth, the day humanity vanished and did not die. Silence filled the galaxy. Not the silence of peace, but the silence after something terrible. Earth was gone. No flames, no broken pieces, no dead ships, just empty space. Where blue oceans and green forests once turned, there was now a quiet darkness. The stars still burned behind it. But Earth was no longer there, and no one knew how. Across the Galactic Council, panic spread like fire. On planet Grix 7, thousands watched the news. Earth disappeared? Did they die? Did someone save them? On the station orbiting the twin suns of Harion, a merchant screamed, They moved their planet. That's impossible. No one had answers, only fear, because with Earth gone, something else had appeared. A message cube, and the voice it carried was human. You fired the first shot, it had said. We saw it coming. Now those words were played again and again on every alien screen. Some races cheered, glad Earth was gone, but others felt a chill in their bones. What do they mean? We saw it coming. Did they plan this? The council met in secret, all 12 major species. None dared invite the humans again, because none believed they had survived. But deep inside, they were afraid. Earth must have been destroyed, the Solvan Queen said. Her scales were pale now. Her hands shook. The weapon didn't hit, said the Yarn Admiral. We saw it. The beam was direct, and yet the planet vanished. The Zareen High Lord stayed quiet. Finally he spoke. What if they moved it? The room froze. Moved. A whole planet. Impossible, whispered one. But another said, There are old machines, lost tech. Maybe they found something. Then came a voice from the shadows, not human, but a spy from a forgotten race. They didn't move the planet, he said. They moved the war. Far from the council's chamber, deep in uncharted space, something new appeared. A small alien research ship, the Galaron, picked up strange signals. The pilot, a young Threxian named Luru, squinted at the screen. That's human tech, she whispered. But it was different, sharper, smarter, silent, not like the bulky ships humans used before. Luru followed the signal through an asteroid field, through ancient wrecks of forgotten wars, and then she saw it, a structure, huge, metallic, floating. In the dark, at its center, a glowing blue orb, and inside the orb, moving slowly. Earth! Luru gasped. She recorded the moment, sent the message to her leaders, then tried to turn her ship around, but it was too late. The stars around her shifted, gravity twisted, and then her ship was gone. Back on the council station, her message came through. Fuzzy, glitchy, but clear enough. Earth was inside something. A shell of light and metal. Protected, moved. The Jarn Admiral stood up, eyes wide. They built a Dyson cocoon? No, said Varric. They found one. It became clear. Now humans had discovered something ancient. Something the other species had lost or ignored. A machine large enough to hold a planet. Hide it. Move it. And power it. The Council had tried to kill Earth with one weapon, but Earth had turned itself into one. Then the next signal arrived. A short broadcast. From the edge of the Varn sector, a Council colony had gone dark. No signals, no transport, no warning. Satellites showed one last thing before they too were destroyed. A black ship. Fast, silent, shaped like a spear. On its side, one message. Remember Earth. The Council began to shake. What do they want? They were peaceful. We tried to kill them. Now they will answer. The Sullivan Queen screamed. It was only a vote. We didn't fire the weapon. But everyone knew the truth. It didn't matter who pressed the button. They were all guilty. And now, they were all targets. More. Colonies went silent. Small outposts, then border planets, one by one. Ships vanished. Stations went cold. No wreckage, no distress calls. Only one thing repeated on hacked networks. We remember. Do you? Some tried to run. The Grexith people abandoned 4 of their worlds. The Korthari sealed their stargates. The Dalaran offered gifts, ships, minerals, even slaves. But nothing stopped the silence. Nothing stopped the black ships. They were never caught, never seen for long, and they never fired visible weapons. They simply arrived, and silence followed. The Council begged for answers. Where were the humans? Who was leading them? What did they want? But no answers came, only more fear, and one question echoed through every system. If they had the power to move Earth, what else had they built? Deep in the dark, the truth was moving. Earth floated inside its new shell, a world now powered by ancient energy. Human cities had changed. Skies were different. Mountains pulsed with light. Humans lived, trained and prepared. On a platform high above Earth, a man stood. His name was General Cale Ward, Elena Ward's brother. He had watched the Council vote. He had watched the beam come, and he had helped build the response. Behind him, a new fleet waited, not made for defense, but for memory. We offered peace, Kyle whispered. Wind passed over his face. But now, they'll remember us. He looked at the sky, at the stars that had once seemed friendly. They thought we were children. He clenched his fists. Let's show them what happens when you try to kill a world that dreams. The stars were no longer safe. Across the galaxy, ships were disappearing, not destroyed, not attacked, just gone. One moment, they were flying. The next, nothing. No signal, no wreckage, no escape pods, only silence. And in the dark, a whisper. Voice, a human voice. Captain Threll of the Zarkon Navy had seen war. He had fought pirate kings, black hole storms, and even a rebel god once. But nothing scared him like what was happening now. His fleet had 37 ships, all armed, all trained. They were sent to patrol the outer rim, near the zone where the last colony went dark. Stay sharp, he told his crew. They nodded. But then, the lights flickered. Just for a second, and the stars outside blinked. Not like normal. They shifted, like something was moving between them. Report! Threll shouted. Power spike! Someone yelled. Gravitational distortion off the port side. He looked. At first, nothing. Then, something moved. Black, silent, long as a moon. It glided across the sky like a shadow with purpose. The crew stared. No weapons fired, no warning, just a whisper in the comms. You shouldn't have done it. Threll's heart stopped. Who said that? No. Answer just static, and one by one the ships in his fleet vanished from radar. 36 gone, his ship remained. For now. He tried to send a message. To the council. To anyone. But the system froze. His own screen showed a message. Remember Earth. Then everything went black. 3 hours later, the council picked up a signal. A lifeboat floating in deep space. Only one survivor. Captain Threll. His eyes were open, but he didn't speak. He just stared, and when a medic asked what happened, he whispered one sentence. The dead are flying. At first, the council thought he was mad. Trauma. Shock. But then other fleets vanished the same way, not in one area, but all across the galaxy. Even in warp space. Ships disappeared between stars, supposedly unreachable places, entire convoys, military, groups, science teams gone, and all left behind one trace. A voice, sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes a child, but always human, and always saying, "You shouldn't have done it." The Jarn Admiral, furious, sent a message to the council. "This is psychological warfare," he shouted. "They are using tricks, illusions." But the serene High Lord shook his head. "I've heard those voices in my sleep," he said. The room went cold. "You're dreaming about them?" asked the Solvan Queen. "Yes," he whispered. "They speak to me, every night. They ask me why I did nothing to stop the vote." No one laughed. Some species tried to explain it. Humans built warp echo probes. Maybe they found old AI tech. Maybe it's just rumors. But those who heard the voice knew better, because it spoke their own language. Perfectly, even, accents, even memories. One scientist heard her dead brother's voice say, "Why did you watch us burn?" Then came the proof. An old mining station near a neutron star picked up a video signal. Not a ship. A face, a human boy, maybe 10 years old. He sat in a room filled with floating stars. Behind him, machines hummed. He looked into the camera. His eyes glowed faintly. "Hello," he said. The station crew froze. He smiled. "You tried to destroy us, but Earth isn't a place anymore." He leaned forward. "It's a mind." The screen cracked, and then the station vanished. The council grew desperate. Meetings turned into shouting. Species blamed each other. Some even tried to leave the council altogether, but it was too late, because now the humans weren't just attacking. They were watching, listening. Every council planet reported the same thing. Cameras turning on by themselves, screens flashing faces, old Earth songs playing at night, and voices saying, "We remember." General Cale Ward stood inside the control core of New Earth. He watched the data flow in. More disappearances, more signals intercepted. "Any retaliation yet?" he asked. "No, General," said his officer. "They're too afraid." Cale nodded. He didn't smile. "This is not revenge," he said quietly. "This is memory." New Earth, hidden inside its Dyson shell, had become more than a planet. It was now a system, a weapon, and its people had changed, no longer scattered, unprepared. They were united, focused, learning from the old machines they found. Machines that taught them how to twist gravity, fold space, whisper through time. Now they weren't just surviving, they were haunting the galaxy. But not everyone feared them. Some species, small ones, forgotten ones, began sending secret messages to the humans. They had no power, no armies, but they had guilt and fear and a wish to survive. One message reached Kale's command from a tiny moon colony called Yaren Kai. It said, "We did not vote to attack. We wish to talk. Please, we want to remember with you, not against you." Kale stared at the message for a long time, then sent a single reply. "We are listening." Far across the galaxy, in a cave built into ice, a Carthian elder lit a candle. He was once a diplomat. He had once met humans. He had liked them. He never forgot the day Earth vanished. Now he lit one candle each night and whispered, "Forgive us." One night, after many years, A voice whispered back, "Forgiveness is earned," and the candle stayed burning, without fire. Humanity had become something else. Not gods, not monsters, but something new, a force made of memory. They didn't conquer. They didn't rule. They simply made sure no one forgot, because they remembered the silence, the betrayal, the vote. And now, they made the galaxy remember too. They called it the Black Sky, because one day thousands of alien eyes looked up and saw something they had never seen before. Shadows. Not clouds, not nightfall, but ships. Black. Silent. Endless. Ships without names, without known origin. Ships that blocked out suns. Ships that didn't come for battle. They came for reminders. The first fleet appeared over Tyros 9, a mining colony run by the wealthy Crasstown people. They were the first to sell weapons to the Council after the Earth vote. Now those weapons couldn't even power up. Their defense systems failed in under 3 seconds. No lasers fired, no shields activated, just silence. A black ship hovered over the capital. It didn't shoot. It broadcasted one thing. We remember who armed the cowards. Then it left. Every screen in the city burned out, every computer locked, and every Craston citizen's home showed the same thing. A video of Earth children playing. Before the vote, before the silence, before the betrayal. On the other side of the galaxy, the Aurelian fleet, one of the largest council forces, rushed to intercept the human armada. They never found it, because the humans didn't move like normal ships. They blinked in and out. Some said they phased through space. Others said they rode inside gravitational echoes. But what scared the council the most was this. They never sent more than one ship to each planet. And still, no one could stop them. General Cale Ward stood aboard the flagship of the Armada, the Rememberer. It was shaped like a blade, blacker than the void, covered in tech the galaxy didn't understand. Beside it, dozens of ships hovered in silence. No insignia, no country, no flags, only one message painted across every hull. Remember Earth. Cale didn't wear a medal. He didn't sit on a throne. He stood beside his crew. Scientists, engineers, survivors, each had lost someone in the failed assassination of Earth. Now they remembered together. And they had one mission. Make sure the galaxy did too. The Sullivan Queen, desperate to avoid her planet being next, sent a message. Please, we regret what happened. It was a mistake. The humans didn't reply. Instead, they left a cube outside her palace. Inside the cube, a recording of her own vote. Her voice saying yes to the use of force against Earth, followed by her words that same day. They won't survive it, the Thon. Last scene of the cube, Earth blinking out of existence, the message below it. We did. On Dreltha 4, another council member's homeworld, hundreds watched the sky darken. The human ship didn't land. It floated and sent a gift, an old Earth satellite, burnt, cracked, but still blinking. Inside, a copy of humanity's peaceful proposal. To the council, signed and ignored, and with it, a note. Your history ignored us. Now we return the favor. Some alien races tried to fight. Small empires not part of the council. One pirate warlord launched an attack on a human outpost near the dead zone. He never returned. Later, other pirates found his flagship, floating, no damage, no crew, only his. Bones sitting in the captain's chair, and a message carved into the metal walls. There is no treasure worth more than peace. The galaxy began to change. Old alliances broke. Species began burning their council documents, destroying records of the Earth vote, trying to erase the past. But the humans had already copied everything, and they shared it. Every system, every name, every vote, all public, all exposed. Suddenly, enemies of Earth were enemies of their own people. Protests began, revolts, even assassinations. Because now, the galaxy remembered Earth not as a weak species, but as a mirror, one that showed the worst of those who tried to erase it. On New Earth, in the Dyson shell, Children were learning history, not just their own, alien history too. They knew every planet that had supported Earth's destruction. They didn't hate. They remembered, and remembering was enough. One day, a strange request came from a race called the Valari Neutral, tiny, known only for music and art. They sent a message. We never voted, but we also never helped. We are sorry. Kyle. Read it twice, then answered, then play your sorrow. Let others feel it. Days later, every device in the galaxy played a single melody. Soft, sad, human, blended with alien chords. No lyrics, only feeling. And in that moment, billions cried. Even those who never knew Earth, because they finally felt what was lost. The Council tried to rebuild trust, tried to gather support, but each time they called for a vote, no one came. The seats were empty because everyone feared the humans would be watching, and they were. Always, a signal here, a whisper there. Sometimes, a black ship appearing just long enough for someone to see, then gone. But the message remained. Justice is not revenge. It is memory that refuses to fade. General Kale stood on the observation deck of the Rememberer. New Earth floated below. The Dyson shell around it pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Behind him, a young pilot approached. Sir, she said, more colonies wish to speak with us. Peaceful ones. Kyle nodded. Let them. She paused. What if they're lying, like the others? Kyle looked at the stars. They might be, but if we forget how to hope, we become the same as them. The Dark Armada was not a force of destruction, it was a force of truth. Everywhere it went, it didn't erase the past. It forced others to face it. No more hiding, no more lies, no more forgetting. Because Earth had been pushed to the edge of extinction and came back stronger than anyone thought possible. The Council was falling apart, not with war, but with silence. Meetings were shorter, voices were weaker. Every time a member spoke, they looked over their shoulders, afraid of shadows. Not because humans had attacked them, but because they hadn't. Why? Don't they strike? Asked the High Speaker of the Ovalan species. Why do they only send messages? No one answered, but everyone thought the same thing, because it's working. The humans didn't need to fire. Their truth hit harder than weapons. Their memory reached deeper than bombs. One council member, Lord Jath of the Talari, stood and slammed the table. They can't rule the galaxy with guilt. He was shaking, because just last week, one of the human ships had hovered above his homeworld. It never fired. It just showed his citizens his own secret message. A message he sent 5 years. I'll go to telling the council, humans are weak. We should erase them now before they become a problem. He denied it. He said it was a fake. But his people believed the recording. His own guards turned on him. Now he wore armor to council meetings. Not for war, but for survival. The Sulvan Queen called a secret gathering. Only a few trusted leaders came. They met in an ancient chamber deep underground. No recordings, no AI, just raw air and fear. We have to stop them, she whispered. We must find their weakness. The Yarn General leaned forward. War is not the answer, he said. We already tried that. We won't attack, she replied. We will lie. They created a story, a new lie, a weapon of words. It began with a small news broadcast on a neutral world. A young alien reporter spoke nervously. We've received secret data showing that humans might be using ancient forbidden tech, something that can control minds. It spread fast, faster than light. Suddenly, everyone was asking, are the humans using fear machines? Are they controlling us with hidden signals? Is this memory real? At first, humanity said nothing. No response, no defense. Then, a transmission was sent from one of the black ships. It was not a threat. It was a question. Is it easier to believe we control your mind than to accept that we are simply right? The galaxy went quiet, but the council pushed harder. They hired actors, created fake victims, built false videos. Aliens crying, saying they were being haunted by human technology. They called it the memory virus. Some believed it, some wanted to, because fear of humans had become too painful. It was easier to think they were monsters than to face the truth of the past. In a broadcast watched by over 30 billion, the council showed a hologram, a fake recording of a human lab creating mind-controlled drones. It looked real, and for a few days, it worked. More species turned against the humans again. Old hate returned, but it didn't last. Because one day later, the real version of that same recording was released by the humans themselves. It showed the council's actors putting on makeup, editing the voices, writing the script, and at the end, the human message was clear. We remember, but we also record. The lie shattered. This time, harder than before, because it wasn't just about fear now, it was about trust, and the council had lost it completely. Protests broke out on 89 planets. 7 worlds left the council. One leader, the Avon Prime, stood before her people and said, "The humans may not forgive us, but we should at least stop lying to ourselves." Her people cheered. Others followed. Inside the Dyson shell of New Earth, General Cale Ward watched the events unfold. He stood before a wall of screens. Each one showed a planet. Each one, a lie being burned. "Should we respond with force now?" his second-in-command asked. Cale shook his head. "No. Their lies destroy themselves better than our weapons ever could." "But what if they lie again?" Cale looked up at the stars. "They will, because some species can't help it." He turned toward her. "But the galaxy is watching now, and the truth is louder." A strange signal came through the deep void, a voice, rough, broken, from someone thought long gone. It was the original Serene High Lord, the one who voted yes in the Earth attack. He had disappeared years ago. Now his voice trembled. "I was wrong. I watched them burn, and I said nothing. Now I live in hiding, but even here, I see them. I hear the humans, not with anger, but with sorrow." He paused. "Let them remind us. Let them never stop. Because if they do, we will forget again. And next time, we might not survive ourselves." The humans sent no reply. They didn't need to, because by now the message was clear. They were not here for revenge. They were here for memory. And every time someone lied, the truth rose stronger. One alien poet, watching the black ships in orbit, wrote a single line. "The stars no longer shine with light, but with guilt." He didn't mean it as fear. He meant it as a warning. And also, maybe, a chance. In secret chambers, some council leaders whispered again. But this time, it was not about attacking Earth. It was about escaping. Building fleets to run. Finding new galaxies. Because they feared what would come next. Not human ships. But, human judgment. And that judgment needed no weapons. It only needed truth. Long ago, the weak stayed quiet. They obeyed. They hid. They survived. They thought they had no choice. But that was before they saw what happened to Earth. Earth was weak once, too. No armies in space, no fleets in orbit, just one blue world, trying to belong. But when the council turned on them, they didn't beg, they remembered. And now, so would the others. The planet Marinvel had no ships, no weapons, just miners and children. Years ago, they voted yes with the council. Not because they hated Earth, but because they were afraid. Now, a black human ship floated over their sky. It didn't speak, didn't shoot. It just waited. Below, on the surface, the people of Marinvel gathered in silence. An old woman stepped forward. She raised her hands and said, "We cannot fix what we did, but we can stop others from doing it again." She pressed a button, and the world broadcast her words to every nearby colony. Her message? The council lied. Earth remembered. And now, so will we. On the jungle world of Peltharoon, A forgotten race called the Archons lived. They were once slaves, forced by the council to mine rare stones. They had no voice, no votes, until now. One day, a cube landed in the forest. No ship, just a cube. It opened with a soft tone. Inside, a video. Humans, telling the story of the Archon's suffering, footage that had never been seen. Somehow, Earth had known. Somehow, Earth had kept the truth. The Archons wept. Then, for the first time in their history, they sent out a message. We were weak, but Earth remembered us, so now we rise, for them and for us. They overthrew their slave masters in one night and raised a flag, not their own, but Earth's. In the dark gas belts of Varkos 5, a small station held outlaws and orphans. Everyone had forgotten them, even the council, until a shadow appeared. A black Earth ship. It dropped one item, a beacon. The beacon lit up the old station's name, hidden under rust. It was once called Hope Station. Then forgotten, now remembered. The criminals and survivors on board stared at the blinking light. One of them, a young thief, whispered, "They know us. Even now. Even here." They changed the station's name back. They fixed the walls. And they began to send food and aid to other forgotten places. With a new motto, Earth remembers. So must we. The movement spread. It wasn't led by generals, not by warriors, but by the weak, the forgotten, the small. They stood up, not to fight but to speak, to remember, and to tell the truth. The council panicked. "This is rebellion." One member cried. "No," said another. "This is something worse. It's inspiration." On Earth's Dyson shell, the children watched these stories every day. Their classrooms were full of screens showing other species remembering. Each time a planet spoke up, they clapped, not because Earth had won, but because someone else had found their voice. General Cale Ward stood before a class of 10-year-olds. One child raised his hand. "General, why don't we attack the council?" Kyle smiled softly. "Because they already lost." The child blinked. "Then why are we still sending ships?" Kyle answered. "Because remembering is harder than fighting. But it's the only thing that lasts." One day, a race called the Thali, quiet, farmers with no space travel, sent Earth a gift. It was a single book, handwritten. In it, stories of every person on their planet who had once said no during the Earth vote, but were ignored. Now they were honored, remembered, their names carved in stone. Earth sent a thank you signal. No words, just one image, an Earth child placing flowers at a monument. The message was clear. The galaxy was building monuments now. Not for the powerful, but for the honest. But the council wouldn't give up so easily. They planned something darker, a secret weapon, not a bomb. Not a fleet, but a memory wipe virus. Their goal, erase all human messages, remove the truth from minds. They tested it on a small moon. It worked. For 2 hours, the people forgot. Then, they remembered again. Why? Because the truth had spread too far. It was in books, in carvings, in dreams, in children, and most of all, in pain. Pain never forgets. The council's plan failed, and when it did, it backfired. A whistleblower exposed the virus project. More riots followed. 10 more systems broke away. Council buildings burned. Their lies had rotted their own empire. On the edge of known space, the last surviving council stronghold flickered with failing lights. One elder whispered to his guards, "They beat us without war, without a shot, with only memory." His voice shook. "Because we told everyone to forget the weak, and Earth made them remember. Now billions look to the stars, not with fear of human power, but with respect for human pain, and how it became strength. The weak no longer stayed quiet. They were the new voice, because Earth had shown them something no empire ever gave, that even the smallest voice matters if it tells the truth. The council hall stood in silence. Once it was the most powerful place in the galaxy. Now it felt like a grave. Seats were empty, lights flickered, dust gathered where pride once lived, and outside its walls, the galaxy had changed. For years, the council ruled with fear, with laws, threats, and secrets, but now, truth ruled louder. Humanity had spoken without firing a single shot, and the galaxy had listened. On the morning of the council's final meeting, only 7 members arrived. There used to be 70. One looked around and said, "We are not leaders anymore. We are survivors of our own lies." No one argued. Far above the council world, a black Earth ship arrived. It didn't cloak, it didn't hide. It simply waited, silent and still. Its presence said everything. "We are watching." Inside the chamber, the Sullivan Queen slammed her staff on the floor. "This cannot go on. Humanity is tearing everything down." But the Yarn General shook his head. "No, they are not tearing it down. We are the ones who built this house on lies." He looked into the dark sky beyond the window. And now it's collapsing. Suddenly, a message played across every screen in the chamber. A message from Earth. But it wasn't a threat. Not this time. It was an invitation. The face of General Cale Ward appeared, calm and steady. "To the remaining members of the Galactic Council," he said, "we offer a final chance. Not for peace, not for power, but for truth." He paused. "Come to Earth. Face those you betrayed. No weapons, no tricks, just honesty." The message ended. No timer, no warning, just a choice. The room went cold. The Overland leader spoke slowly. "If we go, we admit guilt. And if we don't?" asked another. The Yarn General answered, "Then we stay as ghosts." The council voted. 4 said yes. 3 said no. But it didn't matter, because the galaxy had already made its decision. Across hundreds of worlds, citizens turned off council broadcasts. They listened to Earth instead. Children in alien schools learned about Earth's fall and rise. Mothers taught their young ones the value of memory. Statues were built, not of warriors, but of survivors. And then, Earth prepared for something it had never done before: to forgive. New Earth glowed in silver light. It was not the burned, broken Earth from the past. It was stronger now, wiser. Not because it forgot the pain, but because it used it. The council ship arrived slowly. No escort, no fleet, just silence. They landed near the Memorial Plains, a place where Earth had built stone walls, with every name of every lost soul from the Day of Fire. A quiet wind moved across the names. Thousands of alien visitors stood there not to point fingers, but to remember. General Cale Ward met the council leaders alone, no guards, just a recording device, to share their meeting with the galaxy. So no one could twist the truth again. The Sullivan Queen looked him in the eye. "Why let us come here? Why not destroy us?" Cale's voice was calm. "Because destruction is easy, but remembering is hard. And now, you will remember with us." Each council leader was given a task. They were not punished by weapons, they were punished by truth work. Each had to visit the worlds they once lied to. Each had to face the victims, not to rule, but to listen, to answer, to cry, and to carry the weight. Some begged for mercy, some tried to run, but everywhere they went, black ships followed, not firing, just watching, like memory itself. Years passed. The council was gone. A new system grew, small and careful, built on shared pain, not power. Earth didn't lead it, they didn't want to. Instead, Earth stood at the edge, a warning, a reminder, a guardian of memory. One day, a child from a far planet asked a teacher, "Why didn't Earth take revenge? The teacher answered, because they didn't want others to suffer like they did. In a quiet chamber on Earth, Cale Ward stood before a new wall. It had no weapons, only stories, painted by children from every species. Each one showed a moment when someone chose truth over fear. He smiled, not because the fight was over, but because the galaxy was finally ready to remember. Without war, and above it all, a black ship watched the stars, not as a hunter, but as a witness, because some things should never be forgotten. Long ago, the galaxy was full of fear, then came rage, but now it remembered, and that memory became its strongest shield. It had been 5 years since the fall of the Council, 5 years since Earth stood in silence, not as a destroyer, but as a reminder. In that time, something strange happened, something beautiful. Planets began to build memory gardens, places filled with statues, names, and stories of the past. Not just humans, but everyone. Victims, survivors, even those who had once betrayed others. Because the truth wasn't simple. It never is. But remembering it, that was power. On the planet Uranthal, an old soldier stood before a new school. He had fought against Earth once. He had believed the lies. Now he was a teacher. He read from a book written by a human child. The words were simple. My planet burned, but from the ashes we planted truth. The class was quiet. Then a small hand rose. Why do we read this every year? The old soldier smiled. So we never forget and never repeat. In the skies above, ships no longer patrolled with weapons, ready. Instead, they carried libraries. They dropped knowledge. They broadcast memories. They told the story of the Day of Fire and how rage could turn into peace if people had the courage to look back. On Earth's Dyson shell, something new was being built, not a weapon, not a wall, but a memory beacon. It was huge, visible from across the stars. When activated, it would shine light in all directions. It would carry a message in every known language. Truth is not weakness. Pain is not shame. Memory is not war. The day we remembered was the day we became free. The activation day was coming. Billions prepared to watch. Children made drawings. Elders wept. Even former enemies stood in silence. But not everyone was happy. In the shadows of forgotten moons, a group called the Reset was forming. They believed. The past was a burden. They wanted to erase it all. Start fresh. No pain. No guilt. No memory. Just silence. On the night before the beacon's light was set to rise, the Reset attacked. They aimed to destroy the memory banks, the history servers, the last recordings of the Council's crimes. They moved fast, quiet, deadly. But they forgot one thing. Humanity had learned to protect memory like life itself. The attack was stopped, not by soldiers, but by civilians. People from 10 different species stood in the way. Old, young, rich, poor. They held nothing but data drives in their hands. Memories. And they said, "You can take our homes, but you will not take our truth." The Reset members were captured, and instead of prison, they were shown something else. Footage of the Day of Fire. Camps. Ash. Silence. One of them, a young alien, fell to his knees. He whispered, "I didn't know. I didn't understand." A human elder helped him stand. You do now. The next day, the memory beacon lit the sky. A golden light spread across the galaxy. Not just light, but sound. Voices from every corner of the stars spoke together, telling the story, not of war, but of healing. In a cave on a distant frozen planet, a hermit watched. He had once been a council spy. Now he carved into the ice wall. Truth reaches even the coldest places. In a field on Earth, General Cale Ward stood under the light of the beacon. A child walked up to him. "Is it over now?" Cale looked at the stars. "No, it's never over. But now, it's beginning again. A better way." Later that night, the Stars were full of messages. Ships flashed their lights in rhythm. Worlds sent songs. One by one, the galaxy celebrated not a war, but the memory of pain that united them. A final statue was raised in the memorial plains. It had no weapons, no angry face, just a figure, half human, half alien, kneeling with hands over a small flame. The words carved below, "To remember is to resist. To resist is to protect." We remember. And the galaxy did. Every year, on the same day, they paused. No matter what world they were on. They looked up. They lit a candle. They told their children what happened. On the day Earth's engines stopped and its memory began to change the stars. The end.